What is the heat? How is it measured? Temperature is a measure of how hot or cold a system is. In contrast to heat, temperature is a property of a system that describes its state. We can't talk about the heat of a system, but we can talk about its temperature. Temperature is associated with the average kinetic energy of the particles, atoms or molecules, of the system. As the temperature increases, the average kinetic energy of the system's grains also increases. The grains move faster. When it decreases, the average speed of the grains also decreases, they move more slowly. The temperature is a scalar quantity and is a fundamental magnitude, denoted by the symbol T. Its unit is Kelvin, K, but Celsius, degrees degree Celsius, Fahrenheit degree Fahrenheit or Reomur degree Rankine units are also measured. A definition of temperature also relates to the direction of heat. If two bodies are in thermal contact, the high temperature spontaneously transfers energy to the low temperature. Energy transfer stops when two bodies reach thermal equilibrium. What is temperature example? The water molecules in the kettle on the right, whose temperature is high, move faster than on the left. The temperature of a system can be increased by heat. For example, the temperature of the dish in the pot you put on top of the January flame increases. But heat is not the only way to increase the temperature. It can also be increased by doing work on the system. For example, the work done by the friction force increases the temperature of the system. Another example is suddenly squeezing a bicycle pump. It is observed that the temperature of the pump increases when compressed. How is temperature measured? Thermometer. Most of the time, we can tell by touching how hot or cold a system is. But sometimes there are situations that we can't really understand. For example, have 3 bowls of water in front of you. Let these bowls be hot water on the right, warm in the middle, and cold water on the left. Dip one hand in hot water and the other hand in cold water and wait for a while. And then if you dip both hands in warm water in the middle, do you think that the water in this bowl is hot or cold? You get confused. One hand feels hot, the other hand feels cold. So, what is the temperature of the water in the middle really? When measuring temperature, an objective measuring instrument, the thermometer, is used to eliminate the subjective judgment of our sense of touch. Thermometers measure temperature by comparing it to certain standards. The principles of operation of thermometers use properties of matter such as expansion, electrical conductivity or pressure. We'll also examine the types of thermometers. How many degrees is the lowest possible temperature? The lowest possible temperature is 0 Kelvin, i.e. minus 273.15 degrees Celsius. This temperature is called absolute zero. When it reaches absolute zero, the movement of the particles stops completely, their kinetic energy does not remain.